Welcome to another segment of the Woodshop Stop, friends. Today I'm going to show you how I build a side table with a spalted maple top. The table has a hardwood base which was created from recycled pallet wood, and I'm not sure what the species of wood is, but it's possibly an ash. It's a really light colored wood, and it works well with the spalted maple top. I'll show you how I add some accent features to the leg and the shelf that I put on the bottom of this side table. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on content like we have here today on the Woodshop Stop. Please like the video, leave a comment, share the video, and hit the bell notification for future videos. With that said, let's get started. Here is the spalted maple that I acquired from the back of our property. I cut this into lumber from a few logs that I found back in the backyard. Here I'm putting some decent edges on them so that I can glue these two pieces together. And here's the glue up. Now I'm working on the lower shelf. These boards are from pallet wood, and I'm just putting an edge on these so I can do a glue up for the shelf. As you can see, I've done some filling of the holes on this pallet wood. It's hardwood, and I'm not sure what species of wood this is, but it should work good for this shelf. Now the first piece of the tabletop is glued up, and I'm trimming the edges back. Now I've got some other pieces here that I've glued together, and we'll glue these up as well. You can see the nice figure in there, the grain work, and it's pretty neat. Now that's dry, and I'm just squaring everything up on the table saw here. And I'll do a little sanding to kind of level everything out, followed by a little bit of air to clean out the sawdust. And there's wormholes, and there's little material in the wormholes, so you got to get that out of there too. Now I didn't show the milling of the legs, but here I'm sanding the legs. I started out on the table saw with the calibration sanding disc. Now I'm on my workbench here sanding, just getting some of the imperfections out and smoothing things up a bit. Now I'm measuring for the height of the lower shelf, and then I'll cut dados in these legs so I can slide the shelf into those, glue that, and fix it in position. Now I'm getting the final length of the legs on the miter saw. And here you see the legs with the dados, and the shelf is pretty much finished except for the... Here I'm drawing out the radiuses that I'll cut on the end of this shelf. I'm using an accelerator can as my pattern, and Once I get this drawn out on here, I'll take this over to the drill press and use a hole saw to cut these radiuses out. Here I'm at the drill press, and you can see there's the hole saw. I'm cutting out the little radiuses on the end of the shelf. I didn't bother to add the footage of the plugs being removed from the saw. But here is the finished shelf with the radiuses cut, as you can see. I decided to go with an edge band on the end of these shelves so you wouldn't see the edge. I'm using maple, and I'll just cut this to size and glue this edge band to the end of the shelf and tape it with some painter's tape to hold it in position until it dries. Here you see me adding the tape and positioning the edge band. Now I'm putting an angle or a taper on the bottom of the legs. I'm using a taper jig that I made last year, which is not the best, so I'm going to make a new taper jig. You'll see that in the next clip right here. I see I have a new taper jig that I made. This one was out of plywood. The other one was particle board. Not a good choice for a jig. But here, all I'm doing is for the second cut, for the second tapered cut on these, the bottom of the legs is, I'm just drawing the line to position the leg on the taper jig, and you just make the cuts. I like this taper jig much better than the previous one. I think it's a better way to go with plywood versus particle board for fixtures and jigs and that type of thing. But next we're going to go over to the bench, and we're going to work on the skirts for the base of this table. Here I'm drilling the holes out on the side pieces or end pieces of the base using this drilling jig for dowels. And I like using a punch to put a nice centering spot for the drill to follow so that you get a nice straight cut. And then we take the legs over to the drill press, and we drill the holes for the dowels for the legs. To get those positions for the holes on the leg, I used these hole centering inserts, and then I drilled them on the drill press, as you saw. I just put the inserts in the existing holes on the skirt and then press them up against the leg in the right position. Now we just do a quick test fit. And it goes together pretty good. Now we can assemble the remainder of the bottom base. Here I'm installing the shelf, and everything seems to fit pretty good. Now I can do the glue up. First I have to remove the pieces, the dowels. Add my glue, replace the dowels in position. And press everything together. I'm gluing up this base 1/2 at a time. This will be the first half, and then I'll add the shelf to that, as you'll see. Now I'll put the shelf in position. I've glued the dados. I'm lining it up. And once I've got it lined up in position, I'll give it a couple of brad nails on the underside to fix it in position. Now we clamp up the skirting. I use this small miter box to cut up the small pieces to do a wrap around the leg at the shelf level, creating basically an edge banding around the leg. And I apply these pieces with CA glue and regular PV glue. This allows me to cover up my mistake with the one leg and the dado, and it gives it kind of a special flair. It's very time consuming though to cut up all those small pieces and glue them into position. But here's what they look like after I finished. There's the edge band on the front of this shelf edge, and there's the banding around the leg. Now I'm trimming the bottom of the leg, putting a beveled edge on that. Now I'm going to cut the biscuit slots here on the inside of the skirting for the Z-clips that I'll use to attach the tabletop. I put 3 in this position here and 2 on the ends. But I could have gone with just 2 on this position and 2 on the ends. That would have been fine because that's all I used. Now we're ready to attach the tabletop to the base. I've already clear coated the tabletop and the base prior to assembling the two. Here I'm putting the clips in position. Next I'll drill the holes for the screws and then screw the 2 pieces together. I like using a screwdriver to hand screw these in so you don't damage the hole when you're screwing them in with like your cordless drill. And here's the finished product. I think it turned out pretty nice. If you like this video, please check out some of the other videos I have on this channel. Thanks for joining me on this build on the woodshop stop. Peace out.